Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Cauley, during your question and answer session here today, you said that hopefully there will be some changes to 111D before implementation. What type of changes would you like to see in 111D?
I'm hopeful only because I've listened in public to statements by senior officials at the EPA, so I have no particular information. But I think in terms of timing of the targets to make a more progressive transition, ideally
more progressive,
more not in a political sense, but in a
well, I know not the political sense, but I'm talking about more rapidly progressive.
But to slow them down and phase them in more gently, so that essentially the way the original proposal was is targets were on average you had to be 80% of the way there in the first year. That was too steep of a hill to climb, I think, physically in terms of reliability. So our suggestion in terms of timing would be to make the compliance targets more gradual, more phased in over a period of time to allow us to make sure that the infrastructure is there, gas and transmission and the dispatch capability is there to meet those targets. Okay,
yeah, on progressive, I didn't mean to imply politically, but I thought you were wanting to speed up the process, but the opposite.
Slow it down on the front end.
Yeah, okay. Also, for you, Mr. Cauley, the EPA's proposed rule includes interim targets beginning in 2020. Based on this rule, 11 states must achieve 75% of the total goal for the first interim date of 2020, and my state of Missouri has to achieve over 60% total goal by then. What impact do you think this sudden change by states to meet the 2020 interim targets will have on reliability issues?
Well, it creates challenges in terms of if some units may be forced to retire, they're no longer economic, and particularly coal and base load units.
And I might add, we get 85% of our electricity from coal in Missouri.
Some of those units might not retire, but might not be available to operate, but at very limited times. In regions where natural gas supply is an issue, going from less than 30% dependence on gas to 70% dependence creates a huge new demand on gas utilization, and whether the gas is going to be there every day in the cold days in the winter is going to be a challenge.
Oh, also for you, Mr. Cauley, when NERC puts out an alert, what's the general response time of the utility sector?
The alerts vary. There's a level 1, 2, and 3, and we can set whatever response time is appropriate for the situation. Level 3 is the most urgent, and it requires a mandated response from the entities. Level 1 is a advisory heads up, and level 2 is a recommended set of actions, but does not require a response back that it was completed.
Okay, thank you. And for you, Mr. Bardee, I understand you have concerns regarding the timing for FERC to complete its required analysis within the 90 days of being proposed. Wouldn't you agree that having such a report would be beneficial to those members of the public submitting comments on the proposed rule?
I think the analysis that we've seen, for example, in the context of the Clean Power Plan are certainly informative and useful, and I'm sure the public has benefited from seeing that information.
Okay. What role should FERC have in the review of state implementation plans, and what about in review of federal plans?
You know, the commissioners wrote a letter to EPA just this past week addressing that point, and what they indicated was that they felt they needed to be careful not to overstep their role and intrude on the authority and responsibility of states. But having said that, they indicated that the existing processes would be the starting point for how to address the reliability implications of those plans, and that could be supplemented with any additional guidance or work that the commissioners felt appropriate.
To save me trying to run that down, could you provide my staff with a copy of that letter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you all, and Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. This